Hello guys, welcome to the Citizen Z channel, and today you are going to watch the underrated Canadian survival thriller, Man vs. Breakdown, directed by Adam Massey. Man vs. Wild is a concept that everyone has seen, but with a big twist. You have not seen such a movie yet, so let's start the story, without wasting too much time. In the movie's start, we see Doug Woods, whose own TV show is named Woods vs., in which he goes to remote areas and tells the ways of survival, like Man vs. Wild. So now the third season of his show is about to start, in which he is going to shoot the first episode in a mountainous jungle. His wife and daughter have recorded video messages on his phone, which will motivate him alone. His team includes his younger brother Terry, Bill, and Angie. It's a 7-hour drive and they will go ahead on the boat. Doug loves playing chess, so he started playing chess with Terry. And as time passed, they reached a diner where they met their guide, Duncan. He is a local, and he lives in the same jungle area, so no one can tell you about that place better than this. After giving him advice, they sat in his boat and left. Doug has to spend 5 days alone in the jungle, after which he will come back to get it. If there is any problem in the meantime, Doug has a satellite phone too, with which he can contact his team with his help, and his team can track him. Those three were advising Doug that do something weird, eat something bad, but Terry gave the most important advice, that this time make a real episode without your shitty jokes. This show should go on, otherwise we will all become bald. Doug felt bad, but he agreed. As they were moving forward, it started to rain and Doug had to face all these things: rain, cold, wild animals, hunger, etc. Leaving Doug at the edge of the jungle, they all left. So Doug started the camera and started the show. First of all, he opened his bag which his team had packed. Now whatever comes out of it, he will survive through it and show. This is the specialty of his show. The bag contained a hat, camera, a flash, an energy drink, an apple, an army knife, and a chewing gum. This is all the stuff. Now, after climbing a little, he reached a place where he could spend the night as a base because the sun would set soon. He was preparing his shelter with the help of a broken tree, which you would have seen in TV shows. But whatever happens behind the camera, you will see today. As soon as he started, a wound entered his thumbnail, which made him suffer for a long time. Now this wound will trouble him for 5 days. Somehow he pulled out the wood. After some time the shelter was also made, so now he had to light the fire. For this, he used an empty energy drink. Then for about half an hour he was rubbing his bottom with soil. And in the meantime, he was getting a lot of jokes in his mind, but he remembered Terry's words. Then he kept the can on a set angle so that the sunlight reflected on it and fell on the wood. And with this method, he was successful in lighting the fire. He called his team from his satellite phone at night, and they were all having fun. And knowing this, Doug felt a little bad. But he understands that his work is different, and his work is different. This night he had to sleep hungry because there was no time to hunt. He was sleeping in front of the fire, but suddenly a very fast blast happened at night, which shook the whole earth. Doug did not understand anything, so he thought that he might have been hungry, so he fell asleep again. The next morning when he woke up, he saw that something had fallen from the sky while crossing the forest. That's why the earth was shaking. When he ran to that place, he saw that all the fish in the water had died. Everywhere he could see, there were only fish on the water. That means that something dangerous had fallen in the water. Maybe some kind of a meteor. But then he saw a wolf on the other side, but he also went back without eating any fish. The message was clear for the duck. The wolf understood something that he could not understand, so he went back empty-handed, showing his wisdom. He wanted to tell his team about this, but the satellite phone was not working. The duck was completely convinced that a meteorite had fallen because of him. Now he needed food, so he set 3 traps in the jungle, that too for the rabbits. He took 3 sticks and set a heavy stone on them and placed an apple on the tree. If a rabbit comes to eat the apple, the stone will fall on it. After shooting some footage, he went to check the traps. 2 traps had worked. That means 2 rabbits got stuck in the net. But when he was picking them up, his camera suddenly fell on itself. And a duck also heard a sound from the side. He thought it was the same wolf, so he picked up the camera and left quickly. Then he went away from the camp and started cleaning the rabbit so that the wolves stay way from his camp. And he was showing the whole process to the audience. How to remove the skin, how to put the cuts. He gave the whole tutorial. After this, he went to the camp and tried the satellite phone again, but it still didn't work. So he threw the phone aside. Then he took out his personal phone. There was no network in it. Then he saw his wife's message, which motivated him a lot. 5:30. But there were still sounds coming from behind him, as if someone was watching him secretly. He was afraid that the whole herd of sheep would be gathered. He ate the rabbit in fear, and then saved the other rabbit that was left behind. But if he can't keep it with him, he shows a way by which he can save his prey and himself. He took the rabbit and hung it from a tree so that no animal could reach it, and neither could his smell reach it. 5:55. Then he went back to the camp and started playing chess alone, because it is important to keep the mind active in such a situation. But those sounds were still coming. The duck kept ignoring him, but in the meantime someone took his rabbit away. That means he is not an animal. After a while it started to rain, and the duck was showing on the camera as if he was saved from the rain. But in reality, he was drenched well. The soil below him was also wet because the shelter was of no use. It is just a matter of reassuring the mind. 6:23. Still, as he was working, he heard the sound of an animal screaming, which scared him. At that time, he took his night vision camera and went to check, but he did not see anyone around. Although he can't sleep in any condition now, so he took it out sitting all night. Now his mind was leaving him. He wanted to leave everything and run away from here, but once this show went with a smile, he would not be able to meet again. Thinking this, he got back to work. 6:50. He was going to take his breakfast with a fake smile, but someone else took it. The duck also understood that no animal can do this work, so he quickly went and picked up the satellite phone, but it was still not working, so it was thrown back on the bag. Then he dared to put the trap again, and when he reached to check it, he saw that someone had already checked it and left. That means someone took the prey from here. 7:14. But there was something strange under a trap, something that was stuck to the black, something that had something like electricity running inside. Now the ducks woke up. When he reached the camp again, he was even more shocked because his satellite phone was missing, which he threw on the bag. The strangest thing was that the chest was not the same as it had left. Someone had left their game, which was very smart. Now the ducks believed that there is another person in this jungle who is enjoying it. 7:43 because wolves don't play chess. But is it his team, which is troubling him to make a good episode? This question came to the mind of the duck too, so he calmed down a bit. Otherwise, it seemed difficult to cut for 2 days. Now, after thinking a lot at night, he also played his game in chess. Then the next morning he went further in the jungle. Now he will make a new base, because the episode has to go on. He got a rock, with which he prepared a new shelter. He also lit the fire. Now he just needed food. 8:12. He thought that he would catch a fish this time, but he didn't catch a single fish in the water. He saw that he was moving forward, but as he went forward he heard something, because there he found the same shelter as him, and the same empty can that someone had burnt, the same way he had taught. Now he thought that maybe a fan was doing all this, but his satellite phone was also lying there. That too, one by one, opened. Doug understood that whoever he is completely insane, but it was still remaining to see the craziness. 8:42. The dead bodies of the rabbit and the wolf were lying there. The wolf was kept clean as Doug had taught on the rabbit. It became clear that if this is a man, he is very dangerous. When a sound came from the nearby, Doug hid quickly. And where did he hide? In the big version of the trap he had told. He left in time, otherwise he would have been caught. So whoever it is, he is learning everything from Doug and applying it. 9:06. Like he had an apple to eat, but instead of eating it, he put it in traps, because of which he could save more food. The same thing was done by his brother. He took his rabbit, but he didn't eat it. He put it in traps and hunted that sheep. Whatever he is teaching, He is doing everything according to himself, and we can't even imagine what the condition of the duck was. Now, halfway in this deserted jungle, a psycho was caught by him. 9:32. When Doug quickly reached his base, Chess's move was back on, and this time Doug can't beat him. At night, Doug put 3 cameras in front of his base for his safety, so that if he comes near it, the camera will capture it. That's what he thought. When he can beat you in chess, that's nothing. As soon as Doug went to sleep, he put down the 3 cameras. When Doug saw this in the morning, he panicked because it was not safe. That psycho is coming to him at his own will, going at his own will, and he can't do anything. He is not doing any harm right now. But what if he does? Then what will he do? Now the episode in the show went to hell. Doug tied his stuff and started shooting the end of the episode. But then there was a very panicked sound, after which a wave pushed Doug and he fell straight into the water. He quickly came out of the water while taking care of himself, but his eyes, nose, and ears were bleeding. He removed all his wet clothes, then he took off his t-shirt and started running. But he fell into the pit in a hurry, and when he was unconscious, someone was watching him from above. When he regained consciousness, he was in a very bad condition. He had an injury on his arm, but somehow he tried to patch up and climb up. He didn't have much life in his body, but his brain was stuck. Doug had to get out of there at any cost, so he came out of the pit with courage. Then he somehow reached his pickup point where the tent was attached, but no one was seen. Only blood was visible. Doug looked around and saw Terry hanging upside down from the tree, like he had hung the remaining rabbit. So that means Terry is the remaining rabbit. The prey is Bill and Angie. Doug took him down and he was still alive. Doug quickly went to the tent to call for help from the radio, but everything was scary. When he was going back with the medkit, he saw the psycho for the first time, who was an alien. That means that the alien had come to Earth by breaking through the forest that night. He had kept Bill and Angie as clean as Doug had taught them. He monitored Doug and took out the same wave from his mouth, but Doug escaped this time. He put the alien behind him and dropped it in the same pit where he had fallen. Then he crushed it under many stones. Doug thought he was dead, so he quickly reached Terry, but he was also dead by then. After covering the 3 dead bodies, he recorded a last message to his family because even if the alien died, he is still stuck here. There is no way out of here. Or maybe there is. This time he saw his daughter's message, after which he did not stop. Now he had to do whatever it takes to reach home. So first of all, he gave himself the first tier and saw the way to Duncan's house, where it will take 6 hours to go. But that is the last hope. Doug started walking and he reached his place by night. Duncan was not inside, but news was on TV that aliens attacked the whole Earth. All big cities are over, like London, New York, Mumbai, and Beijing. So the government is appealing to people to leave the cities and go somewhere far. And he is sitting far away from the city. Still, he has to go back to the city for his family, who most probably died. Still, he is not ready to give up. He picked up the food boxes from Duncan's house. Then he was taking out his boat. Then Duncan came in front of him with a gun. He just wanted his own boat. But the same was the case with Doug. Before Duncan took any steps, the alien came and killed him. Then he started moving towards Doug in a hurt condition. So Doug also made preparations. He tore the alien apart with the propeller of the boat and threw it into the water. This was the last move, that is checkmate. Then Doug took the boat and left. But then more and more aliens came to Earth. With this movie ends. The concept of the movie was very crazy and impressive. If aliens come to Earth and learn different ways of humans, they will apply it on us first. The way everything was set up was also very good. Like Doug's way of teaching survival and following the alien on his scale, it was very effective. And the show Doug was running was a reference to the show called Survivor Man. You must have seen it on Discovery Channel. In it, a man named Lestrade also went on survival alone, where random things used to happen. He used them to survive. The trick of lighting fire with a can was shown in his show. This movie was a completely new experience. From the start, it was almost clear that Psy will be an alien, but still there was tension. Because we had to see the result of the small things that were happening. The theft of the hanging rabbit, all that. And finally, the alien that did it with the Ducky team was next level. He tore two and cleaned them. What the hell?